Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We are thrilled to have you today for our exciting topic. But first, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Jessica, and we are the Occupational Therapy Assistants with Harkla. So today, we are going to talk about bilateral integration, and we're going to give you some of our favorite activities to help improve bilateral integration.
Don't close out of this video yet. I know it sounds a little technical, and you're like, why do I care about bilateral integration? Well, we're going to tell you, and we're going to tell you why it's important to include these activities into your child's daily routine. And maybe you'll learn something about your child's bilateral integration and coordination, and you can learn some new things and try them out.
But first, what is bilateral integration?
What is it? So bilateral integration is the ability to coordinate both sides of the body, top and bottom, to complete a task. And really it can be something as simple as opening a can of green beans, right? You have to stabilize the can and you have to rotate the can opener,
Okay.
right?
I mean, that's not how my can opener works.
Oh, well, I have a manual can opener and I was doing it last night and I was thinking, oh, this is really working on my bilateral integration.
Yep. Sensory goggles are
Isn't
always
that normal
on.
what you think about when you're opening
Isn't
a
that
can
what
of green beans?
Yeah, definitely.
So anyways, that is bilateral coordination, bilateral integration. We'll use those terms kind of interchangeably throughout this video, but just know that it is coordinating both sides of the body to do fluid, seamless movements.
And then when we're talking about kids, we really look at bilateral integration from a play standpoint, right? Because that's what children do, they play. So they're using bilateral integration when they ride their bike, when they are playing catch with a ball, when they are even when they're eating, they're using their bilateral integration, when they're writing. All of the child's daily activities that require use of both sides of their body is that bilateral integration. And for this video specifically, we are going to talk more about the arms, the bilateral integration of the upper body, not the lower body.
Yep. So going along with that, why is it important? Well, like Jessica said, a child's occupation is play. They are learning through play, and that is what they should be doing every day. And if they struggle with bilateral integration, they could struggle with things like hand dominance. So having that dominant hand in order to write with the same hand every time, or throw a ball with the same hand every time.
Yep, and then just all of those different play activities that that helps them engage with their peers and their environment, climbing, running, jumping, all of those different activities require that good bilateral integration.
Even getting dressed in the morning requires bilateral integration. You never think about it, but buttoning your shirt, zipping your zipper on your pants, tying your shoes, putting your socks on, if you think about it, try doing those activities with just one hand flopping down to the side and you're not paying any attention to it. You can't. I mean, you probably could and just you need some modifications, but we want to work on the underlying skills rather than provide these modifications for kiddos who can incorporate both sides of their body.
Really quick, let's talk about kind of the progression of bilateral integration development, just to kind of get a better understanding of what it looks like.
So starting in infancy, bringing the hands to midline, bringing the hands to mouth, banging pots and pans together, banging lids together, bringing hands to midline is the first step of really engaging the bilateral, engaging both hands, engaging that skill of the bilateral coordination.
Yeah, so that's that symmetrical bilateral integration, right? The hands, the arms are doing the exact same thing for the activity, whereas as the child gets a little bit older, they start to learn asymmetrical bilateral integration, where one hand, one arm does something different than the other to complete the task. And then this is also where that hand dominance starts to develop, because one arm, one hand is going to be stronger, more coordinated, while the other hand, the other arm is going to be the stabilizer.
So one thing that is important to be aware of, this is a little off topic, a little bit more detail oriented, but we can look at overflow associated movements. And this is a big one with bilateral integration activities. And so like Jessica had mentioned, that symmetrical bilateral coordination of maybe a task like painting. I'm thinking of painting because this is what we were doing with my kiddo today. He was holding the paintbrush in one hand and his other hand was imitating exactly what that hand that was painting was doing. And that's normal for a kiddo his age. He's a year and a half right now. But we want those skills to increase, and we want that symmetrical bilateral integration to really integrate or move into a more, higher level ability of coordination.
Yep.
And so you should be able to disassociate one hand from the other, both sides of the body. So if we're going back to our painting activity, eventually he'll be able to stabilize the paper with one hand and paint with the other hand, and those hand motions aren't going to be mimicking each other.
That's a good example.
Thank you.
And then really quick, before we talk about our favorite bilateral integration activities, we just want to remind you, or inform you if you didn't know, that not only do you have a dominant hand, but you also are going to establish a dominant leg, right? So if you think about like soccer or even just kickball on the playground, your child is hopefully going to develop a dominant leg that they will consistently kick with. They're also going to develop a dominant eye and a dominant ear as well. And these are things that are very like hidden and we don't talk about a lot, and maybe we need to talk about them a little bit more, because it can affect learning, reading, writing, all of those different things. So along with bilateral integration and establishing a hand dominance, there's a lot that goes into it.
I'm just thinking about when we were watching our videos back, and I'm like, why is my head tilted a certain way? And Jessica was like, it's probably your dominant eye and ear. You're just like trying to tune in and listen to the information and pay attention as best you can. I mean, see if you notice that in yourself or in your kiddos, if they're always like tilting a certain way or if they're using a certain eye. I don't know. I just thought I never had thought about that when I was watching back videos that we'd recorded. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
You got to put your sensory goggles on.
So this is why you're all here. The activities, the fun part, the goods, right? First activity that we're going to have you try, using clapping patterns, clapping activities, using a metronome, really just working on bringing those hands to midline. This is great for kiddos who are younger, who are just working on developing those skills. I mean, the hand clapping, we should be having, a consistent clap. In infancy, around a year old is what we want to see. And so going back, working on that skill, and then making it more challenging for kiddos as they get a little bit older.
Yeah, I was even just thinking doing clap, pat on your legs, right? So you clap and then you pat, and then you can also, and so that really focuses on that like symmetrical, right? Both hands are doing the same action, but then you can kind of progress and do the asymmetrical where maybe you clap and then one hand comes to your shoulder and then you clap and the other hand goes to your shoulder, right? So kind of separating those arm movements during the clapping patterns as well. Number 2 is going to be balloon volleyball. And we, as therapists, really love balloons for a variety of reasons. We use them for so many things, but when we're talking about bilateral integration, it's great practice for coordinating the upper body to hit the balloon back and forth. You can also increase the challenge if your child is a little bit older and call out left or right, and they have to hit the balloon with whichever arm you call out. It's a great way to practice that left versus right discrimination. And maybe you have them hold like a stick and with both hands, and they have to coordinate their arms together to use the stick to hit the balloon. Like, you can get pretty creative.
We love putting stickers on the balloons, and they have to hit a certain sticker, or maybe you draw letters or numbers and they have to find it before they can hit it while they're visually tracking it, and alternating which hand they're hitting it with. We've also put like beads or cereal pieces inside the balloons, and then we blow the balloons up so it makes a cool noise every time you hit it, so it just changes the sensory experience overall.
Yeah.
Number 3, animal walks. We love animal walks for a variety of reasons. If you've been hanging out with us for a while, then you probably know that, and you're like, come on guys, talk about something different.
Never.
No. Animal walks are great because, number 1, there are hundreds of animals that you can imitate and come up with these fun walks to do, but also you can challenge the child by having them complete different sequences and motor movements while they're doing the animal walk. So let's say we're doing just a classic bear walk, right? You're crawling on your hands and your feet, like Mowgli, and you're going hand, hand, foot, foot, hand, hand, foot, foot. 9 times out of 10, no matter who the child is doing this activity, they're going to try to go hand, foot, hand, foot, hand, foot, which is that asymmetrical bilateral coordination, right? Which is great, but try to break it up and just do upper body and then lower body, upper body and lower body. Turn the metronome on to make it even more challenging. Hand, hand, foot, foot, hand, hand, foot, foot. That's a good one. Whew! Makes me stressed out just talking about it.
It's such a good one. It's so good. Okay, our next activity for bilateral integration is going to be the infinity loop or an infinity walk. So there's a variety of ways you can do this one, starting with just having an infinity symbol on the wall. So maybe you draw it on a piece of paper, or if you have a whiteboard, you can draw a really big one on the whiteboard and have your child use either their finger or a writing utensil to trace that infinity loop. Do it a couple of times through and then have them switch hands and do it with their other hand as well.
Another fun way to use an infinity loop is by placing 2 items on the floor, a couple feet apart from each other, and you can walk in that figure 8 or that infinity loop pattern around those objects. And if you want to incorporate the eyes a little bit more, you can put a chart up on the wall that they are reading every time they're walking through that figure 8. And so they have to turn their head a certain way each time, they have to rotate their body, and then make sure you switch directions and go the other way.
And if you really want to get crazy and increase the challenge, you can give your child a ball and maybe they have to bounce and catch the ball as they walk through the infinity loop.
And track the visual with
Oh
their eyes.
my gosh, see, that stresses me out.
Woo! Okay, good luck. All right, the next one is just doing basic exercise. So things like jumping jacks and windmills are great ways to work on that bilateral coordination. Things like cross crawls are helpful and you can modify those significantly for the kiddos. Put a mirror in front of the child if they're struggling to cross midline and use both sides of their body as well. It'll be really helpful.
Yep. Also, try playing catch with some different sized balls. Do some throwing, some catching, some rolling. Maybe try hitting the ball with a baseball bat. Even if your kiddo isn't into baseball or sports, that's okay. You can still turn these into really fun, simple games to increase that bilateral integration.
Yeah, going back to the balloon idea, you can hit the balloon with a baseball bat and it's way more fun that way. And it gives them a little bit more time to process the speed of the ball coming towards them because it's a balloon.
Definitely. Hopefully these ideas, these activities were helpful. Hopefully you try some of them. We challenge you to try maybe a new one every day. And maybe you find one that's really, really challenging. So you do that same one every day and you watch your child progress.
Take videos so you can remember how they started versus how they are progressing as you practice every day.
And let them watch those videos so they can see how they're doing. They can watch themselves get better. Really, it will help build that self-confidence.
If you try these activities and you're loving it, you're having a great time, tag us on Instagram and share your video so we know that you're watching these videos and trying these activities, and we can share them with the world to help motivate other families, therapists, caregivers to implement the same thing.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel so you never miss a new video. We drop a new video every Tuesday, but you never know, we might, throw out a bonus episode every once in a while, and you don't want to miss that.
Make sure that you are following along on Instagram at Harkla_family, as well as at All Things Sensory Podcast.
If you are really, really concerned about your child's bilateral integration, coordination, and it's impacting their ability to get throughout their day, talk with your pediatrician about getting an OT eval.
That in-person therapy, nothing replaces that. And as fun and helpful as our videos and our podcast are, you definitely want to make sure that you are getting the child the services that they need if it's possible in your area.
We have a couple of resources down in the description, so go check out those links to learn more.
Okay, thank you for being here, and we will see you next Tuesday.